Hello, and it's good evening from me to you, from all the geeks here. We are going to be discussing a sequel to a classic movie, which these days people say it was far better than the original. We are talking Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Um, we'll go around the gang, thoughts on this movie, and then we'll go into a bit of discussion. So let's go to. Oh, wait up, Susan. Susan's got her lightsaber at the ready. We'll go to Susan. I don't want to upset Susan. We'll go to Susan.
Yes, the force is strong with this one. I always love Star Wars. I must say, it's just the best stuff ever. And I loved watching Empire again. It's always good. I mean, there's a lot of issues with it. Issues like, how did the white little creature freeze Luke's feet into the ice? That was weird. And why did it take a lightsaber to free his feet? And why didn't he cut off his toes? And there's a lot of issues with this movie, but and that's just to start. So I liked it a lot, and I'm glad to be reviewing it. Here's Alex.
Okay. Well, I am a fan of the original trilogy, and I did actually read the novelizations. I do like the movie, although I have to agree with CinemaSins that there's a lot of coincidences, and it's very convenient. But of course, you could call it The Empire Strikes Back, or Luke Skywalker and Han Solo have a really bad week. There's a lot of coincidences. It is very dramatic. Like, my mother always makes fun about the big reveal that was so huge in 1980. The fact that, Darth Vader is, spoiler, Anakin Skywalker, spoiler, the same person.
Well, it's not really a spoiler anymore.
Yeah, well, just in case. And the fact that everybody gets their hands and arms cut off. But if you want to see Leia have a hard day, then you go to the next movie, Return of the Jedi, otherwise known as Revenge of the Jedi. Well, the original title anyway. So I was trying to remember the novelization, and there was a little bit more in the novelization, such as why, spoiler, Leia and Han were falling in love. And
if you haven't seen this movie, get out now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it is a very good movie. It is a lot of fun. Did anyone else find it strange that on Cloud City or Bespin, where Lando was, he seemed to be kissing Vader's butt a little bit, then changed. Then when Darth Vader set the trap, spoiler for Luke Skywalker, it seemed very much like the Empire, you know what I mean, in terms of where they were fighting and the design and all that. Did anybody else find that a little strange? That Cloud City was so pretty and orange and purple and all that, and then when Luke is fighting Darth Vader with that weird color scheme of red and blue or pink and blue lightsabers, that everything seemed to be getting more and more industrial and more Empire looking. And it just sort of struck me. And then Lando at the end with Chewie wearing his clothes, or it looked like it was Han's clothes. Nobody noticed that? Because I noticed Robot Chicken and Family Guy and Spaceballs, they've all made fun of Star Wars. And it's not the best written, but it is the easiest to follow. And I was in the theater watching, these movies. And when you're seeing it on a big screen, I mean, it is wonderful to look at. So that's the other thing, whether it's just to, shut your mind off and be captivated by the special effects and the design. Because technically, if you're in a war, there's probably going to be a lot of people dying, and you're probably going to have a lot of scars. And it did strike me as funny in Star Wars that they didn't really seem to have a lot of scars. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're running there on the front lines, I think you're probably going to have a few scars, if nothing else. But it is a great movie. But I like the original three. And I did like Rogue One, but that's the other universe in another decade that we probably shouldn't be covering right now. Okay.
Well, always fun to have Alex in these casts because he always brings up some good points. There's one question I had when I rewatched it. What happened to the stepladder leading up to Luke's X-Wing on Dagobah? He climbs up it, it disappears. Where does it go? Anyways, let's move on to Beef Dad with his new haircuts and new glasses.
Yeah, I remember it coming out. I found it very entertaining then, and even now it's still very, very entertaining. It's one of those films that is never going to age. Sorry. There's some great performances in this. I love C-3PO. Anthony Daniels is just brilliant doing C-3PO, but especially the bit where C-3PO is in bits. I just love that. And R2-D2 has always been one of my favourites. Oddly enough, well, yes, and of course you had Boba Fett in this one, the bounty hunter, played by Jeremy Bulloch, who was someone that I knew. He used to be a customer of mine, and I used to have a lot of giggles with him. He's a very funny guy, actually. What surprised me on the casting is you had the Emperor, and you got the face of what's his name? Peter Diamond. No, not Peter Diamond. But I can't remember his name. Ian McDiarmid. I know it was done. You saw his face and everything, but the voice wasn't his. The voice was Clive Revill, who was very, very famous for doing musicals. Quite a few filmed versions of Gilbert and Sullivan, in which he played the comic baritone lead. But yeah, I love the Snow Creature, and I love the Walkers. The Walkers are brilliant. They really are good. The concepts behind a lot of this are just absolutely amazing. And of course, Yoda. What an absolute joy Yoda is. Frank Oz doing the voice. But Yoda is just a magical little guy. And yeah, as I say, solid couple of hours of entertainment. And it's one that you'll never tire of. You'll always go back and watch it again.
Thanks for that, Beef Dad. And while I was rewatching it over the weekend, I did notice Jeremy Bulloch had two parts in this movie. Boba Fett, and he was also a guard dragging Princess Leia when she shouts, "It's a trap." He was. I thought, oh, I had to go back and watch it again. Jeremy Bulloch in the Empire outfit. Let's go to Jason. See what his opening thoughts are on the Empire Strikes Back.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, my opinion of Star Wars Strikes Back. I just let you guys know I didn't only do the review of the whole thing of it because I won't be on long. But my opinion on Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, it was definitely a great movie, I would say. I mean, definitely a great trilogy for the second one. It gives you more info about who Darth Vader was, and also you had Yoda's appearance in there as the Jedi Master who trained. Well, he was being silly at first, and he was training Luke Skywalker. And you got the Empire who comes after them, and in the beginning with Princess Leia and them, and you had these machines thingy with the one actor who also appeared in Doctor Who twice, Julian Goble, who also appeared in Game of Thrones just later on. But the series itself was definitely, not so the movie itself, very great. I really enjoyed it. Lots of scenes and actions and stuff. And Han Solo and Chewbacca will be always my favorite in that one. The series, the movie itself, I definitely love. Would it be better than the original, the first one? No, but I like the action into it. I like the fighting into it. My favorite scenes always when they were inside that snake creature in the asteroid. Oh, that was have some laughing moments between that one. But yeah, the iconic part of Darth Vader saying to Luke, saying, "I am your father." I definitely loved it. I will also be giving my rating is I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 on this one.
Cool. Thanks for that, Jason. He's broadcasting live from the bottom of the trash can, by the sounds of it. Over to Kevin.
To Kevin or Kevin?
Kevin. How do you pronounce it in your country?
Kevin.
Kevin. How's that?
Oh well, man. Every time if I think about this movie, I wish I haven't seen the prequels. Because really, what a waste of time. If I didn't saw the third one, I never knew that Anakin was becoming Darth Vader. And yeah, then the I Am Your Father would be a surprise. But yeah, this is the first time that I saw Empire Strikes Back on Blu-ray. Never had the chance to see it, only a couple of scenes. Yeah, about the Blu-ray quality, it's top-notch. And the story, it's just awesome. The beginning till the end. And it's the least, how do you say, CGI, George Lucas bullshit. So yeah, I'm very glad that they didn't do that just like A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, because they just turned that with all the CGI, like, let's improve it. Just don't. And it was a very dark ending. Not everything was going well for the Skywalker rebellion. And yeah, Yoda was awesome. He was a puppet this time, so that was cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. 10 out of 10 already. So
Brilliant, Kevin. Who we got with us now? Daniel. It's nice to see you again. What was your first opening thoughts on The Empire Strikes Back?
Well, I first saw this when I was a kid back in the 90s, and I really, really loved this movie. I just, I had a lot of great times watching this movie, and yeah, I remember at first I was watching this movie, and I was thinking to myself, okay, these guys are on Hoth now. What happened to that? What happened to Yavin Base? Because the last time I saw them, they were on Yavin Base. So, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what happened to Yavin Base? And then I eventually found out that Yavin was taken by the Empire. We didn't see it though. So yeah, it happened in between. We just didn't see it.
Well, we haven't seen it yet. They may fill that in with another movie. You never know.
You think so? You think they're gonna have another prequel movie?
Well, they've done that with Rogue One. Between
yeah,
you don't know. They're just filling this Star Wars franchise, filling it out now. So you never know.
So that would be kind of cool if they did that. And so, but now they're doing the Han Solo movie, which is gonna suck in my opinion. But okay, anyways, as I was saying, and then and then we saw like this like when I looked at Hoth, I thought it was pretty cool, and you see Luke Skywalker going around with a tauntaun, and I thought the tauntaun was cool. And then, you know, like then you see that big thing, you know, whatever it was, it kind of got Luke and it took it back to his lair. And you know, I thought it was kind of weird. And also like when you saw Luke in the lair, how was he, like he was upside down? What was he hanging on? That was weird. You know, his feet were like stuck in this black goo stuff, and he was hanging from the ceiling. I thought that was kind of gross when I first saw it.
In my opinion, I thought maybe it could be Wampa spit holding him there. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe Wampa Hork.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
ask George Lucas.
Yeah. Anyways, and the whole escape scene with Luke when he like he kind of got the lightsaber from the ice and he cut off the Wampa's arm. That was kind of cool, and he ran away. It was kind of nice of him to let it live, because anybody else, if anybody else was in that position, they would kill that thing. I know I would. So Luke is a nice guy, and he just he ran away and stuff, and seeing Alec Guinness in this movie, like when he's like, Luke, you must go and see Yoda, the same Jedi Master that trained me. I was like, that is cool. I like Alec Guinness. He was awesome. But that was like, because like, what, that's false. Yoda didn't train Obi-Wan. Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan, but I guess Qui-Gon didn't exist back then. So yeah, but that was a continuity error. That's why I wanted to point that out. So yeah, and then we see Han Solo, riding to get Luke, and I'm thinking, how did Han Solo find Luke in that storm? Wow, he just happened to be there, like, okay, unless he had a transmitter on him, which maybe he did, but
it's Star Wars. It doesn't make any logical sense.
Maybe it was in the script.
I guess you could say coincidence, Yeah. So yeah, and then like, okay, and then when like Han made shelter for Luke. Remember when the Tauntaun died? I was like, I remember crying when the Tauntaun died. I was like, oh, why did it die, poor little thing? And like, and then when Han cut it open with a lightsaber, I was like, ew, look at the guts. The guts were like spilling out, and I was like, that was disgusting. It looked like rice.
But Han, it shows you that he knows a thing or two, because he knew shoving Luke into that body of the Tauntaun was going to keep him warm and alive.
Yeah. And I thought they smelled better on the outside. No, I think he said, I thought they smelled bad on the outside. So that was like, yeah, because that thing stunk. That thing stunk. And then later on, we saw, like, he got returned to Yavin Base, but then the Empire was invading, I love that scene when the Empire was, like, invading. That was really good. That was a really good scene. And, yeah, and then later on, they escaped Hoth and stuff, and, that was nice. And then the whole thing where Luke went to Dagobah. That was kind of cool. I like that. He went to Dagobah and he looked for Yoda, and we see Yoda at first, and he was kind of cool, and then he didn't train Luke right away. He needed some coaxing and stuff, but then like Luke turned out to be a really good Jedi, even with like he was like what, like he was halfway done with the training, right? And he went to fight Vader. So it was like he was halfway done, right? So I heard people like they compared him to like a purple belt. When you go and train, you have your purple belt, like that's like halfway through. He wasn't quite there yet, so he left. He wasn't done with the training, but he fought really good against Darth Vader. I think he could have beaten him, but things happen. So that was pretty good. I like Cloud City. Cloud City was pretty nice. It was really nice. And but I hated it when Lando betrayed Han. That was kind of sad. He could have warned him. People say he could have warned him before time, like, hey, like the Empire's here, you better not come.
Yeah, but trouble is, you don't know what Vader had threatened Lando with. He could have threatened the closure of the mining community or anything.
Yeah.
So the Empire, if they got their hands onto anything with a tight grasp, they've got you by the rollocks.
Yeah. So
Language, Lee.
and the whole carbonite freezing thing. The whole carbonite freezing thing, that looks painful, man. That looked really painful, but that was the first time we saw Boba Fett, right? Like in Empire, we saw Boba Fett there, which he was cool. Yeah, and he took Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt's palace, which was interesting. Yeah, it was kind of cool. And yeah, and then later on they fought their way out of Cloud City, and they ran away, but then they had to go back for Luke because Luke fell down the reactor shaft, and he got his hand cut off. That's gotta hurt, And
Like father, like son.
Yeah. And then he went, and then they got Luke back, and then they brought him back to a rebel base where he got his hand back, or a hand back. So that was kind of cool, and then it ended. I like the way it ended. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you've sort of liked the film, Daniel.
No, I give it a 10 out of 10. It was like, I think it was like really good. It was like the darkest one of the trilogy, of this trilogy. It was really good. I liked it.
Well, a lot of people say that the Empire, out of the three original trilogy, is their favourite. And you can see why. There's a lot more to this one. I'm going to go around the guys again this time, just with bits of trivia or whatever, favourite characters or anything. So we'll go to. Do you think Beef Dad will be able to talk with his mouth full? Quick, come on, you can do it. Go on. Yep. Over to you.
Just chocolate. Favourite bits? Difficult, really. I love the bit where Yoda used the Force and lifted up the flyer. I thought that was really good. And the expression on Han Solo's face was just magic. Han Solo? What am I talking about? Luke Skywalker. I was thinking Mark Hamill.
Well, we wasn't going to mention it, Beef Dad. We just thought we'll put it down to old age, but you've pointed it out now.
Thank you very much. Up your nose. Yeah. The expression on Luke's face when he does that is absolutely brilliant. I love the bit where they are chasing into the Millennium Falcon, getting away from the Empire soldiers, and Chewbacca has got C-3PO on his back, still in bits because he hasn't had a chance to put his legs on, but he keeps banging his head, and C-3PO is complaining and duck down and don't. It is just so funny. It is just so funny. But then all the way through it, C-3PO tends to be the comedy relief. Yeah, I like the bit where he's hanging off the antennae at the bottom of the Cloud City. That is really good. But one of the bits that I really love is when, to get away from the Empire destroyers, Han Solo actually attaches the Millennium Falcon to one of the destroyers, and they can't see him, but he's there. That was just so good, so clever. But yeah, those really are the bits that got me. Oddly enough, another friend of mine was in this. he played a Wampa. But you'll all remember him better as the whip-wielding Arab.
What film are we on about now?
I just
Wait,
mentioned the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes, the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
Right.
He was in this. He played a Wampa. Basically, I suppose, because he's so big. He was so big. He was a bloke. But yeah, it was just great fun. Just great fun. That's me.
Cool. That was you, and now it's over to Kevin. Stop frowning, or your face will stay like that when the weather changes, Kevin. Over to you.
All right, Radio Lee. Well, my favorite bits were, of course, Yoda lifting up his Luke's ship. When Luke is going into the dark fortress on Dagobah or something. And when he saw Darth Vader, and then you all guys thought like, oh, it's Luke Skywalker. That's Darth Vader, but that's not possible. So yeah, and I liked the with Lando when Han Solo is like, "You're busted," by Darth Vader. And then he gets frozen, and he's brick. And the ending also my favorite. Not everything comes to a happy end in this movie. So yeah, that's are my favorite moments, and Luke's training.
Cool. So this is why I like Kevin on these casts, because he's straightforward and he's done with it within a minute.
Yep.
We'll go to our two, the dynamic duos on their new love sofa, to Susan and Alex.
Okay, well, I didn't understand why Han Solo didn't just land it right the minute he flew the Millennium Falcon into the cave in the asteroid field, and why he didn't just land it right there at the mouth of the cave, because they had to get him all the way back into the just fly down that thing for a long, long way. I don't understand that. And because of course, when you tickle something way down in somebody's throat, you're going to get them to throw up on you or to cough you out or something. It's going to be really traumatic. Anyway, so the teeth coming down, that was such a good effect when I saw it the first time. I was like mind blown that this rock formation that I thought was a rock formation, had a life all of its own and was like an asteroid worm or whatever. That was like amazing to me. And I really there was a lot of nostalgia of watching it again. The copy that we watched was so clear, and it was the sound was so good. It was just like seeing it in the theater. It was delightful, and the other part that I like is when Han Solo is being frozen in carbonite, and Leia says, "I love you," the first time, and Han Solo responds, "I know." I mean, that was like, a different take on romance anyway. And of course I love, Yoda and R2's little, tug of war with the stick and tug of war, and they're like, and Yoda's testing of Luke first, making all those jokes. Yoda was a really funny old character when you first see him on screen. His first screen minutes are full of comedy and delight, and then he becomes this grumpy old curmudgeon who trains Luke. Anyway, so like that was just fun.
Uh, yeah, like I said, I saw this in the movie theater. Yeah, there's a lot of fun parts. I mean, like I said, unfortunately, Luke and Han are having a very bad week or month or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, the Hoth planet. I don't know if that made sense. They had a very good visual and costume design. Like I said, I mean, technically they're in a war, so they're shooting down stormtroopers. Again, they still have the bad stormtrooper aim, even though they get closer in Cloud City. Um, and yeah, I mean, also too, unfortunately, Mark Hamill, I guess, had a bad automobile accident, and his face had to be reconstructed in real life, which is kind of, I don't know if they put that into the movie where he's in the tube with the aqua therapy
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. I think that's why they wanted you to, answer for the scars on his face, really, because he had to have some reconstruction done with his cheekbone and everything. Yeah.
So even though we'll see him in the Last Jedi, hopefully he'll have more than 1 minute of screen time in the new franchise, the Disney franchise now. Um, and I mean Chewie had a lot to do, even though unfortunately you can't understand him. R2D2 has a lot to do, even though you can't understand him. And I want to know how Luke understands him because technically they're not speaking the same language. But I guess C3PO taught him, I guess. Yeah, Yoda sounds a little bit like Grover, but it is, at the first beginning. But again, in the prequels, he's a little different and he looks different.
Really curmudgeon.
No, he's supposed to be curmudgeon, but I'm saying in the prequels he's flying and he's moving around a lot.
Yeah.
And then the Empire he's not moving around a lot. Even though it is a great speech, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. And okay, easy, turn down the geek. Turn down the geek a little bit. So anyway, I mean it is great about, lifting the X-wing fighter and making fun of him first. Can I get your ship out and all that stuff. And of course, the other thing that we haven't touched upon, pardon the expression, is the NPR radio versions, which I actually went more into detail about Leia being tortured in Star Wars and the dinner and the Empire Strikes Back, that they didn't get to show you the dinner with Darth Vader and Boba Fett, and other scenes that they sort of that they didn't really cover in the movie. I think more for time and not to slow the whole movie down. What else was there? Yeah, I mean, I love the Imperial March. I love the the asteroid field music, and that was another thing. I mean, even I said to myself, well, if this Millennium Falcon is kind of like a disc, I mean, isn't he playing frisbee with the asteroids? And then why wouldn't the Star Destroyer know? If you can blow up a planet, why would asteroids be a problem? It just kind of struck me a little odd. And then, of course, you have all the people from Doctor Who, Julian Glover, Michael Sheard, and a couple other people as the other people in the Empire that are having a very bad day by getting choked to death, like they did in the first movie and Rogue One, where I guess if you get Vader mad, he chokes you to death. And then what about that black dye that he was in? Remember how he was putting on the helmet and you saw the back of his head or his neck? And then he's in the black dye. He's in like this black dye. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Well, then again, maybe you don't want to know. But I mean, that's kind of funny. And then the strange carbonite contraption and the pig men that were also in Cloud City. And the fact that, Chewie had to go down to almost the junkyard to collect C3PO. But it is so funny when Lando says, you having a problem with your droid? And Han goes, why? No, nothing at all. And he's all in pieces. And what else? And the funny thing is R2D2 again, saving the day, just like he did in Star Wars, just like he did in Return of the Jedi, saving the day at the last minute. And it's so funny how, he's flying almost across the ship. A spoiler, as he turns on the hyper drive or hyperspace drive or whatever you call it. Yeah, that was, like I said, it's a good movie. I guess it's not really intelligently written, but that's fine. It's a fun movie. You're supposed to have fun with it. Like I said, I read the book. There's a lot more parts about Han and Leia falling in love and all that, but I really don't like projecting too much when I see other
Oh,
fictional.
well, if you're done with your life, go and make Darth Vader mad. Which
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that was another question too about, did anyone notice the weird 2-3 scenes where Darth Vader seemed to get hurt by Luke's lightsaber for a second? I was kind of like, shouldn't he have stronger armor than that? If Luke touches him on the shoulder with the lightsaber and he actually groaned, and I kind of went, that's a little strange, isn't it? I mean, if he's so strong, why would the touch of the lightsaber, which technically, right, was supposed to cut through anything,
And it was his lightsaber.
but it didn't work with Darth Vader, but it worked with Luke Skywalker. A little strange.
Well,
I don't remember. Unfortunately, I don't remember any trivia right now. I do remember back in the old days, before they had the internet, you saw it on TV Guide, and they had movie magazines, and they had People magazines showing, the fashions when they were in Hoth. The special square jackets and the special, costumes that they had for the movie.
can you call that fashion?
I mean, costume design, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, they did up the game for the original Star Wars. Even though they had costumes, they weren't as intricate as the Empire Strikes Back. And they didn't have all the little square formation on the vests and the jackets. And they had like a military type of design, which I guess now they use as cargo pants or whatever, little pockets and little squares and little
stuff the way to go.
Right.
Stuff the way to go clubbing in on a Saturday night now. Thanks for that, Alex. Just to go back to what you said about Yoda being not as agile as he was in the prequels, that's because he was quite younger in those days. Once you get older, you slow down a bit. That's my take on that. Daniel, have you got a favourite moment? What sticks out for you in this movie?
I like the battle scene on Hoth. I think those were pretty cool.
That is really good. With the stop motion.
Yeah.
Tats.
Good.
So,
and yeah, the battle between Darth Vader and Luke was kind of, I like that too, and but overall, this whole movie was really good. I liked it.
Yeah. As I said before, many of the fans state this is the best out of the three. For me, it is my favourite out of the three, to be honest. It brought you two iconic characters in the Star Wars franchise, Boba Fett and Yoda. This is their first movie appearance. I don't understand why Boba Fett is so well loved by the fans, because he's not in the movie much. But you can't really understand what what makes a good character stand out for people. I don't know, but for me, I love the movie. It's from beginning to end. It's a very good story. All the way through, all the battles, all the lightsaber fights, even the dialogue. Okay, it's a science fiction thing. It doesn't have to make sense, and it's good to see a lot of British actors in this, mainly because it was mainly filmed in UK. Most of it, as you say, Michael Sheen was in it. I used to know him before he passed away. He was a very good actor. Everybody else knows him as Mr. Bronson in Grange Hill, but He was a very good actor, but Admiral Oswald in this movie. Yes, Alex, your finger up there.
Well, actually, the other thing is, when I was younger, of course, I had more of a fascination with Star Wars, and of course, they had the comic books, and Marvel did some comic books when they were comic books, not graphic novels, and a lot cheaper. You didn't have to spend $13 on every single book, American money. And then the other thing is, so Boba Fett had appearances in the comics, and he also was in the terrible Star Wars Holiday Special from 1978 that was on CBS. And of course, George Lucas hates it. And of course, you can see it on YouTube, both the original version and the Riff Tracks version. But the reason why I bring that up is not only because everybody was younger and they had more Chewie scenes in his family and more music videos for 1978, which is pretty groundbreaking back then. They had a cartoon, about a 10-minute cartoon, with Boba Fett trying to capture all our Star Wars heroes, so to speak.
That was one good. That was really good.
Right. And so it's very interesting because he actually has a lot of lines. So if you really want to see what happens in the cartoon, you want to see the Star Wars Holiday Special from 1978. And like I said, Boba Fett has a lot of lines. He's actually a very good character in that. The only thing I will warn you is the animation is very strange. Luke and Han especially. Han looks like Matt Smith a little bit with the super chin going on. Pardon for the joke. But yeah, it actually is a very good cartoon. As far as the holiday special, well, if you can stand Harvey Korman, Art Carney, and B. Arthur singing in the Cantina bar, good on you, because it is kind of painful to watch.
So I want to clarify. So I want to clarify some of these movies, especially in this one, Han or Hon, Leia or Leia, because Lando calls him Han, Leia calls Hon. In the same movie, there's two ways of saying the names. Can somebody explain this? Why is it Leia or Leia? Is it Han or Hon? Come on.
Well, okay. Leia, Princess Leia, calls Han, and they are together forever. And Leia, Princess Leia calls Han, or Han calls Leia. So that's what they're called, I guess.
You mean ham or han?
It's just in just this movie, as I said, there's characters calling them by the names in a different way of calling. I'm thinking, just get it right.
Yeah, well, of course, Lee, if you're being choked by a Wookiee, you're going to say Han a little different than if you say it regular. But that's another scene.
Hopefully I'll be choked by a Wookiee. Not yet. That's something I can look forward to. So right, we'll go into our final, final say and score then. Kevin. Yes, you.
Well, I'm the youngest here.
No, you're not.
How do you mean? You're not young. I'm 19. But enough about that. I really enjoyed this movie. And I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. Star Wars.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. Beef Dad. Here's a young man. Beef Dad. Yes. You rhyme?
Did you? Oh. No, as I say, it's excellent. It's one of those films that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long. It's never going to age, and that's extraordinary. That is good. And Any film that is never going to age gets a 10 from me.
Thank you. Words of wisdom there. Daniel, what's your score for this was episode 5?
I give it a 10 out of 10. I love Star Wars, and this movie especially, I really like it. And also, you were speaking about the Christmas special, right? I saw the Christmas special, and to tell you the truth, it was really bad. I didn't like it at all. And but did you know that the Christmas special was supposed to be a pilot for a TV series? George Lucas wanted to do a TV series of Star Wars back in the 70s.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was like, but the pilot, but the Christmas special was so bad, he scrapped it. He hated it. Of course, he hated it. It was bad. But can you imagine if they did? What?
Be thankful it never took off.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was based on the Chewbacca's family. And, of course, it was called the Holiday Special. But, Daniel, do you remember the Boba Fett cartoon? You remember that?
Yeah, I like that. That was the only good thing about it.
Yeah, that's the only thing people like about that special.
Yeah. So I really liked it, and I wish that was canon. You know, that was really good. But like also, as I was saying, like this was supposed to be a pilot for a TV series that never took off. And but can you imagine if they did a TV series back in like the 70s and 80s of Star Wars? It wouldn't look good at all. You know? Now, if they do it now, it'll look really good. But back then, they had no special effects, no CGI, no nothing. It would have been bad. It would have looked like crap.
Well, the other problem, of course, the other issue is the fact that, number one, it does better as movies anyway. Number two, you know, and they did do TV movies about the Ewoks as well as a cartoon and a cartoon about R2-D2. The problem with the TV specials is not only the money and the promotion, but the fact that there's not a lot of violence that you could show back then either. So that kind of takes the war part out of it because there's not really a lot you could show anywhere.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the Wookiees, like you know, like sitting around reading a newspaper, watching TV, like people on Earth do. That's stupid. Wookiees don't do that.
It's sort of like the Star Wars version of the Flintstones, and I don't think that's too exciting.
No, definitely not. And yeah, so like, yeah. Oh, but. I think there's rumors that they're going to do a TV series. They're going to do a live-action TV series like somewhere after 2019. And I've been talking to people, and they're saying there's a good chance that will happen. And especially with like Disney All Access coming, they're probably because like Disney, you know, like Star Wars, Star Wars is Disney's like it makes Disney like the most money. So they're probably gonna make that into a series, you know. Most likely.
Well, if it happens, but as I say, the movies are the thing at the moment. Well, let's move on now to Susan and Alex. What's your final say and score?
Well, I mean, of course, I like the original prequel, the 77 to 83 movies. I did like Rogue One. Other than that, I don't like the rest of the movie so far, except for the original 3. Like I said, the book was interesting. The novelization, the film is good. The film is interesting. Yeah, unfortunately, if you really try to think of it as a story, it's basically Luke and Han have a very bad day or a very bad month. But it is an enjoyable movie. It is a darker movie than the Star Wars. It is realistic in the sense that, yes, if you're in a war, you're going to suffer damages and you're going to have, really bad days. And that's, of course, assuming you get to walk away at all. The music is great. The visuals are great. It does move quick. That's what a movie's supposed to do. This isn't a historical piece on purpose, so it's not going to be too intellectual. And as I said, it was great fun watching it in the theater, except when the volume was up way too high, and then you got a headache. But other than that, it's a great movie. The story's about a 9. The movie experience is a 10, and that's what they're made for.
Well, I don't remember reading the book, but I do remember. I remember seeing the movie and seeing Star Wars, the first one, and Return of the Jedi, probably 900 times after school. I'd run home, watch one of these three, try and do my homework, and then sneak into the living room to watch Star Trek at 10:30 or 11 at night, and then watch Monty Python or Doctor Who. But I mean, it was like I literally watched it every day. When we finally got a VCR, I watched it every single day. And I'll give Empire Strikes Back a 10 out of 10 lightsabers and a 10 out of 10 Jedis.
Ooh. You missed out 10 out of 10 Siths.
It didn't exist back then.
Well, they did in the prequels.
Yeah.
Anyway, to me, it's, as you say, it's a fun movie from beginning to end. I agree with Beef Dad that you never get tired of watching this. It's from the effects, the fight scenes. It's just wonderfully done. George Lucas at his best, I would say. The Empire Strikes Back gets a 10 out of 10 from me. So I would just like to say thank you guys for joining me, talking all things Star Wars, even the holiday special. So please, if you want to be on these casts, get in touch. Just leave a comment below. Leave a comment below about Star Wars below if you want to. If your thoughts on the movie, and we're on Twitter at Geeks Assemble. We've got a public Facebook group, so you can get in touch with us all over the place. So, and if you do join, you'll be able to talk to us as our friendly little faces here. You'll be able to get to know us better. Some of us you don't really want to get to know about. Alid, he's not here at the moment, but you don't really want to get to know him.
Oh, burn!
He's not here. I can say what I want. And on that bombshell, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.